All right. First half of 7-9. We're looking at not folk talks, folk tales. Folk tales and fables. The reason why we're looking at these are because they're a genre of writing. And so Unit 7 is all about different genres and different styles of writing. And one of the styles of writing is folk tales and fables. You might categorize them as children's stories, but they're a little different than children's stories. They are their own separate genre. So let's look at what they are, what they have going on. So folk tales are also known as folklore. They're originally word of mouth stories. They're passed down from one generation to the next. The thing about folk tales is they often are specific to certain regions. This is where Disney gets a lot of their material from. And the characters are either all good or bad. Like, you're either a good person or a bad person in this story. And often how that character acts, they will either be rewarded or they will be punished. And so based on the actions of that character, you're supposed to get a moral or a proverb or a lesson from these stories. So you might have seen Little Red Riding Hood. Well, Little Red Riding Hood, she was a little girl who went to the woods, and then, the wolf sees her, finds out what she's doing, goes to grandma's house and eats grandma. And in many versions, a hunter comes in and saves them because the wolf is about to eat Little Red Riding Hood too. And so we're supposed to learn from her mistakes and not talk to strangers in the woods and tell people to mind their own business, that kind of thing. So this is a story about stranger danger. Fables. Fables are a type of folk tale. They are typically brief. They feature talking animals, and again, they end with a moral or a proverb, and this is supposed to impart a life lesson and wisdom and advice. Sometimes in these fables, the character dies, and over time, we have, I don't know the best word for it, but we have watered it down to be a happy fairy tale. And that's not always the case. And so these fables are supposed to show consequences, good and bad. All right. So what you can do is I'm going to walk you through the learning about folktales and fables. We just did a little slide on that. You can read the folktales and fable slides in K-12, but I have them in my slideshow. So I'm just going to show you here. So these are 3 stories that are featured in your checkpoint that you're going to be taking. So we're going to look at 3 folktales and fables. One of them is The Shepherd Boy and the Wolf. The other one is The Milkmaid and Her Pail. And the other one is The Mice Having a Meeting. And let's get into it. So what are we looking for, and what is the quiz going to ask you? Is we're looking for the moral and the proverb of the story. And we do that by identifying who's the character, what are they doing, what's the plot, how are they rewarded or punished, are they? And then what lesson do the characters learn? So in turn, what lesson are we, the reader, supposed to learn? And that's how we get the moral or proverb. Sometimes this moral or proverb can be put into a little truth nugget that sounds nice, and that often becomes the basis of idioms later on in figures of speech that we use in English language, and they're often taken from these stories. So you'll see what I mean here. So this is our intro lesson about what is a fable and what is a folktale. What we're going to do is we're actually going to read them now.